Can you add to the latest that we're getting in, Gaurav? You've been speaking to the Defence Ministry. What's the latest?
Well, Operation Maitreyi is now on in full swing because of fresh tremors this morning at the Tribhuvan International Airport. Unfortunately, flights couldn't take off and land till 1400 hours, till 4 p.m. because the air traffic controller had to be evacuated. Since they are now back in place, flights have once again resumed from and to Kathmandu. The bigger news and the better news, fortunately, is that relief supplies will now reach Kathmandu even faster. As far as the Indian Army is concerned, they've got their engineer task force already in place. They've got 2 medical teams in place. This is apart from the Indian Air Force 30-bed hospital that's in place in Kathmandu. So emergency relief will be provided to those who desperately need it in Kathmandu.
Okay.
So this is just the Kathmandu leg of the story. As far as other parts are concerned, and especially Pokhara, again badly affected, Indian Army helicopters have been, Indian Air Force helicopters have been able to carry out a series of operations, evacuation operations, even in Pokhara. A lot of relief material which was at the Kathmandu airport. 1 lakh bottles of water yesterday, another 1 lakh bottles of water today. They are now being distributed to other parts where they're desperately required, along with medicines, blankets and tents.
Gaurav, the rescue effort, the relief and rescue efforts that India has launched, as India has mounted, have been, of course, well appreciated. Also bring us up to date at what is happening at the Everest base camp, because we have been told that the Indian Army's mountaineering team that was there to begin to their climb for Mount Everest, now they have been diverted. They are in fact undertaking a massive rescue operation, research and rescue operation there at the base camp. Have you had any word with our men there?
Ankit, you're spot on there. At the Everest, after fresh tremors, there was another avalanche this morning that hit the base camp, and that is where there's a major cause for concern. Camp 1 was devastated late yesterday, and this route between the base camp and Camp 2, which is at 19,000 feet plus altitude, that's completely destroyed. The Indian Army was carrying out an exercise that was in the Khumba Ice Falls area. They abandoned that exercise and they returned, Preeti and Ankit, and now they are engaged in the task of trying to help as many people as they can. But because of the inclement weather, they haven't been able to do much. But the good news story is that the Indian team is completely safe.
Gaurav, I'd urge you to stay on with us, because we're also going to come down to you. Gaurav Sawant, the Strategic Affairs Editor, tracking all that he's getting in from the Defence Ministry, the Ministry of External Affairs, also the PMO there. We're going to come back to Gaurav in just a minute, because we are apprising our viewers on the latest development. And that is that the first C-17 Globemaster with 225 Indians on board has landed at Palam. The Indian Air Force and Army has now been leading a massive rescue relief operations in Kathmandu. The multi-pronged India efforts are being led by officials of Army and Air Force in Kathmandu and the Mount Everest.
That's right. In fact, let me go across back to Gaurav Sawant for more on the massive relief and rescue operation that India has launched. Gaurav, especially our Air Force pilots, they are well experienced to fly such sorties, to go on these massive, recce's to get a sense of the devastation in the far-flung areas. They have, of course, they were the forefronts as far as the Uttarakhand floods were concerned, and then later on in many other natural calamities. What are you expecting of the Indian Air Force now? Because the Nepal Army has asked them to give them a detailed recce of the areas which are still inaccessible.
All right. We're going to go across. Ankit, what our producers are just telling us is we're going to cut across to Gaurav in just about a minute. We're getting the reaction of Dipesh. Now, he was on board that aircraft, C-17 Globemaster, that has just touched down about 15 minutes ago at Palam, and he's on board that aircraft. He's joining us right now. Dipesh, we're glad that you're back home, and you're safe. Can you just take us through the kind of rescue operations that are being carried on and what you witnessed? Just give us an eyewitness account.
Okay, these were the most difficult hours in my life, wherein I was stranded at Kathmandu airport along with my family. So my parents were there, who were 60 plus, my wife was there, and my daughter, 10 years, was there. So we were waiting at the airport for us to get any information whether the flight will come and go out. Or nothing was operating. Complete ATC was shut down, and there was no news coming up, any firm news. So by 7:30 we were there at the airport, and it was slow because for last few days it was raining heavily over there. So it was getting cold. We couldn't get inside the airport, and there was no hotels wherein we could approach.
Right. So you're a tourist. Dipesh, you're a tourist. You went there to visit Nepal on holidays. That's so?
Yeah, it was a pilgrimage plus sightseeing.
All right. Dipesh, can you take us through the other people on board the aircraft which have come back? Once again, we're very glad to have you back home. You're safe. You know, that's really, really heartening to note. Can you take us through the other people also who were on board with you, the other 225 passengers? Are all Indians? Can you give us more details?
Yeah, I can give more details. So by 7:30 we got to know that some rescue operations are coming from India, wherein about 5 planes will fly from Delhi to Kathmandu along with all this relief material, doctors and all those things. So Ministry of External Affairs and the people from the embassy in Kathmandu, so they started contacting the Indian people over there who were stranded at the airport, and otherwise also who wants to go back to India. So by that time, no flight was coming in, no flight was going on for last 6-7 hours. So people were really scared over there. What will happen next? So this was a very good news for all of us. So
right.
These people are coordinated. They were giving the preference to elderly people and children first to go in. So they have arranged for that. Then they were giving the preference to the people who were with family.
Right.
So we were in the second aircraft. The first aircraft took off around 8:30 with 55 people.
Okay.
And we were in the second, which was having about 105 people.
Right.
And three or four people were on stretcher and on the wheelchair because they were severely injured.
Yes.
Some of them were having fractures and sort of things because when all of this happened, some of the people were in malls or were in hotels. So they couldn't evacuate very quickly from there and they got injured. So the doctors were helping them, and these 5 people were taken care of very well by the...
Were there other foreign nationals on board with you that the Indian Air Force was evacuating?
Sorry?
Were there other foreign nationals, non-Indians on board?
There were few, but the first preference was given to Indians. And then if somebody is in need, so people means the government of India was not denying, but it was case to case. If somebody needs it on an urgent basis,
how is the situation on the airport, Dipesh? How is the situation on the airport right now? Can you take us through? We know that Nepal is in a state of emergency right now. Flights have started, landing operations have started, but can you take us through the situation at the airport? We know thousands want to get out of Nepal right now. There's a complete breakdown in terms of power, in terms of water, in terms of medicine. Can you just take us through on what you witnessed at the airport?
See, what I witnessed at the airport, there are a few shops over there who were selling the media items, like the biscuits and water. But then they jacked up the price to 3 times. Okay, so the people who are local, the Nepali people and the Indian people, were gone with little money. They were in problem. Second thing, when I gone to the market, the nearby market, all the shops, the shops were shut off. So there was nothing to eat. So that means everybody was out from the home. Everybody was at the street. So all the shops were shut off. But then the relief which has come from the government of India, which was having medicine, the doctors were there, the drinking water was there. So they started distributing immediately.
Right.
Not only at the airport, but to the city, as well as the plans was to reach out to the remote locations also.
All right. Appreciate you joining us, Dipesh. And once again, we're really happy to have you back home safe.